Is it her time of the month?
Stay nutty and get your geek on.
What's up, guys? BC coming back at you guys with yet another toy review. Notice how I didn't say Transformers, because this is not a Transformer. This is Hasbro's Power Rangers Lightning Collection. This is the Ranger Slayer. She's from the Boom Studios comics, which I have not fully read. Okay, but before you go, before you run off and say I am a terrible fan, I am reading them. I just have not quite gotten to the point where she shows up. But I am reading them. I'm very well familiar with them. I love Draken as a character, even though his figure I take a lot of issue with. But we're not going to get into that. We're going to get into this figure right here. But before we can properly get into this figure, we got to start, as you know, with the accessories. For some strange reason, she comes with 3 arrows. Okay. She comes with the little blade blaster, but in black. Pretty cool. Just like the actual Pink Ranger figure from back in Wave 2 that was absolutely ridiculous to find, she comes with the energy arrow. Mine is a little bent up here, probably from letting the wife take it out of the package. She comes with the Bow of Darkness. This is pretty wicked looking, I'm not gonna lie. She comes with these the right chopping hand and the left fist. I'm not gonna lie, the fact that she does not have 2 fist hands, it drives me a little batty. This is slightly annoying, but you know, she has them, and I bet you guys are asking, okay, now it's time for him to show off the civilian head. She didn't come with one. Let's move on. So as far as gimmicks, I guess you can call this a gimmick. Her cape and shoulder pad pop off. It's literally a separate piece. It pops out in the package as well. Okay, I guess this is just to ensure that people don't just rip something apart back here, so I guess it makes sense, but, you know, whatever. C'est la vie. I do think this looks great, either way, but I'll get into my issues with the cape in the final thoughts. But before we can get to those final thoughts, we're going to go into one of my favorite sections of a toy review. That being articulation. Which we will start with the head. The head, to kind of rip it off right quick, is literally a standard ball joint on a hinge, basically. So, whoa, well, alright then, I guess I'm just going to take that off real quick so I can actually pop her head back on. There we go. So, she, due to the ball joint, she does have a little wiggle on the head, but not a whole lot. That little hinge piece allows her to look up. That's about as far as she can look up. Allows her to look down, which is as far as she can go down. And, you know, whatever that may be to you. Shoulders are extremely tight, but you can get them pretty much to a perfect T-pose, as well as the butterfly joint right there. And the actual shoulder itself can rotate within that assembly. The elbow gets just a little over 90 degrees of bend. Not gonna lie, That's a little disappointing. I'm gonna have the figure like this to further illustrate this. This hand has the hinge that allows it to go up and down, which is nice. This one is the more standard in and out on a very soft ratchet. And you know, her optional hands are like that as well. The torso joint, there is what's basically, I want to say it's a ball joint in the upper torso that basically allows her to get all this range of motion up here. But then she's also got the ab crunch down here that's on a bit of a detent. She can get this ridiculous arch. You can basically break her back, which looks painful. And you can crunch her about that far forward, which, you know, that's fine. That's fine. That's perfectly acceptable. Coming down to her hip, she gets about that far out on the hip, that far forward, and nothing really back. She's got a thigh swivel right about there. She's got a double jointed knee that is stupid tight. This is stupid tight on every figure that I have gotten in this line. This knee joint terrifies me, but you can get it working. And I've got a scuff right there. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Even though it's literally blatantly right in front of you, don't worry about it. And the ankle has a swivel, as well as a pivot, and a tilt. So, yeah. That's basically the articulation in a nutshell. Wasn't really sure what would make for good size comparisons for these Lightning Collection figures, since I really didn't review any of these. So, here's a Master Grade Sananju Stein. Great kit. Now, as far as talking about the figure as a whole, the plastic on every one of these figures I've had has felt absolutely wonderful. This figure is no exception. This feels like a good quality figure. I really, really love the way that Hasbro is handling the Lightning Collection line as a whole, not just as a collector-oriented line, but just as toys in general. These are absolutely fantastic toys. Because they it doesn't matter which Lightning Collection figure I have. I can sit here and pose these all I want, and they have a good hand feel to them. Now, one thing I'm going to definitely knock against this, the paint on Pink Ranger was basically perfect across the board. And here, it's so close to being perfect as far as the paint goes. But where it gets sloppy is right up here, the head. The little green bits right here, these literally just look like green dots. This doesn't look like there's any effort here. And it really takes away from it. And bear in mind, this is a figure that is very well painted and very well sculpted and detailed. Because you can see in here, even though this is not a suit that we see on a screen, they added in these little textures in here as if these would be little armor pads that they would add to this suit as if we were seeing it in a show. That's incredible. But when you see stuff like this, tiny little mishaps like that, some mishaps right here, and the lack of a perfect silver trim right through there, things like that will stick out when everything else is done so beautifully. Now, I haven't actually test fitted to see if this folded up Ranger stick would actually fit in here any better than the open ones. I'd say so. I mean, maybe if I flip it around, it'll fit better. Yeah, I'd say that fits. All right. Now, again, like I said, this comes off. I didn't count it as an accessory because I count this more as a gimmick than anything. But it literally just fits on her. And here's my main issue with it. With it off, just kind of set her feet up real quick. Get her balanced. She's starting to go. There we go. As you can see, without the cape, for the most part, I can get her standing no problem. But every time I put this cape on, I'm constantly having to struggle to keep her standing. Like, that's the easiest I've gotten her to stand with the cape on. Like, I literally had to fight with this figure to get her just to stand. So, just in general, that is a bit of an annoyance. But overall, like, as far as the presence, painting, and sculpting goes on this, it is an absolutely killer figure. So with that said, let's go into some final thoughts and then we'll get out of here. Final thoughts wise, let's start with the negatives. Honestly, my major negatives are, again, some of the paint is a little sloppy, and that does not allow the figure to present the way that I know these figures can. And again, another thing with this line, some of these joints are way too tight. I've already had a figure break on me once already. I don't just take your time with the joints. They definitely do. They will scare you at first, but once you really kind of get them going, they are very good. They're nice and smooth. They tend to take a little bit of time to really get going. But another major complaint that I mostly feel like is just with the female molds is they have a hard time standing, and I think it's because of how tiny their feet are. But here's the thing. I got Trini and Kimberly standing, no problem. I have absolutely no issues keeping them standing. Ranger Slayer, on the other hand, when she's wearing this cape, I have so much trouble standing her up. And that's because that's a lot of weight that's just draped onto her back. And while I do understand that, you know, that's kind of the meat and potatoes with this character design, it can't be helped. This is something with the character that you're gonna want to have her wearing this while she's on your shelf. I very well understand that there's no getting around that. But just the way I'm looking at it, I feel like the cape is a little bit of a bothersome thing to work with as far as keeping her posed and keeping her standing. Like, that's my only real grief with the cape. So that, and I guess trying to get this whole thing set up right here, it's a little more tedious than I feel is ultimately worth for what's honestly going to be a one-time shot, because I'm never putting her in this pose again after this. But, you know, that's an option. But make no mistake, where this figure truly shines is her display presence. The paint, where it is applied well, looks fantastic. When you get her into those poses, she looks fantastic. When you put her next to other figures of her same scale, she looks absolutely amazing. The entirety of the Lightning Collection line is basically a lot like this, and she is no exception to a testament to the quality of these figures. I love Power Rangers. I love action figures of Power Rangers. These are, in my opinion, the best Power Ranger figures on the market. Not just because they are tackling Power Rangers, but they're also the only ones doing figures of the Boom Studios comics characters. Which, again, that is where she's from. This is a wonderful figure. Absolutely wonderful figure. But due to the unfortunate means of the paint being a little splotchy, the tight joints, and just in general, the way the articulation works, this figure gets a solid gold seal. I'll explain these in another video. But, as far as I'm concerned, this figure right here, gold seal. Very, very, very good. Exactly what I would expect out of a figure like this. It's very well made. Very, very well made. So with that said, guys, I have taken up enough of your time. This is BC saying stay nerdy and get your geek on. I will catch you guys next time. Take care.